From our studios in the heart of New York City, it's The Hirsh Show. With special guest, Nickelodeon and Food Network legend Marc Summers. I'm Kyle Serra, and now here's our host, Kyle Hirshon.
Thank you, Kyle Serra, for that introduction. Welcome to the Hirsh Show, everybody. I'm Kyle Hirshon, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm thankful right now that there are no pies and no slime around me right now, because my guest today is the master of mess. You know him from Double Dare and What Would You Do on Nickelodeon, and of course from the Food Network. And I see he's wearing a Double Dare hat right now. Please welcome Mr. Marc Summers.
How are you today?
Good. Thanks so much for taking the time. So this is a big year for you. 35 years since the original debut of Double Dare on Nickelodeon. Who would have thought that we'd be talking about a show that gave away a trip to space camp and get you covered in dog food?
Yeah, you know, back in the day and even now, you figured you do, the pickups generally were 13 weeks, 65 episodes back then. And my feeling was always you do 65 and then you'll never do it again. And the fact that we did 525 episodes of that thing and then toured it many, many, many times. And I guess I never really understood the impact the program had until this last tour. We did 70 cities in 18 months. And, you know, grown-up humans would come up to me and reminisce about what it was like coming home from school and, you know, watching the show. So, you know, I'm just thrilled that anybody remembers. And it's been a fun ride. You know, you're 35 years on Double Dare and I'll be 70 this year. So it's pretty crazy.
That's crazy. So actually, I want to talk about the first thing, that your newest thing that you're doing right now. You're producing a new show for Discovery Plus, The Last Unknown. So tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, a couple of years back, my partner in business, Ian Shive, who is just a brilliant photographer as well as host, we did a shark special for Discovery. And they couldn't get into Cuba. We got them into Cuba, and it's one of the highest rated shark specials. It reruns to death. And we've been trying to do another special, but management was turned over, and then Discovery bought a billion other channels, and it took a while. But we did this, shot it in the Aleutian Islands. It's been trending every day since March 18th, since we launched. And, you know, the word is we're going to do more. We'll find out. It's television. Nobody knows what really is going on. But it's been it's a beautiful program. We had no idea what we were going to see once we got there. Supposedly it had not been inhabited by humans for many, many years.
Wow.
Hundreds of years, they said. And then we land there and there's planes from World War II and wrecked ships. And so it added a whole other dimension to the special. So it's called The Last Unknown, Discovery Plus. Hopefully people get the streaming service and tune us in.
That's absolutely awesome. I would totally check it out myself. So actually, let's get back into the Double Dare scene. So I was watching a documentary on YouTube recently when Jerry Laybourne took over the network and basically legitimized the network when Double Dare became the pillar show. So tell me, in your thoughts, in the very beginning, what kind of impact did you think the show would have had?
Oh, we had no idea. Cable was non-existent. You know, they said that there were 3 shows that were responsible for getting cable into homes. First one being Larry King on CNN. Second one being Showtime doing specials with Gallagher. And the third was Double Dare, because kids would say to the parents, I went to my friend's house and saw this thing where people jump into 5,000 pounds of baked beans and win a computer. Can we get that? You know, and back in the day, services for cable was fairly inexpensive. Now people are spending hundreds of dollars. So, it launched gigantically. There used to be a thing in research that was called Playground Talk. And when we launched in '86, it was Facts of Life and Different Strokes that were on UHF channels kicking ass and taking names. And all of a sudden their numbers started to dwindle and nobody could figure out where they went. They went to Nickelodeon and Double Dare. And these days, if you get a 0.2 as a rating, people are jumping up and down. We used to get 5s, and like 5.0. And we became a cult favorite on college campuses. The Letterman show used to watch us before they'd do their show. I used to hang out backstage all the time with Dave and the writers and all that stuff. So one never knows. We were having a ball. Our exec producers, Mike Klinghoffer and Dana Calderwood, who was also our director, and Alan Silberberg, our writer. We were just like a bunch of kids in a college dorm having fun. We never thought of it as a kid show. I never wanted to do a kid show. And I think because we were not talking down to kids and being negative towards them, we were just treating them like adults. all those elements worked. They went to focus groups. They thought I was like a crazy uncle or an older brother. They didn't know at the time I was like 35 years old and was married. So all that played together. And then in the time spot, we were on at 5:30 Monday through Friday, and Mom would say, go watch your show and then we'll have dinner. So it gave Mom a half hour to get everything prepped, and kids would be focused on the set. So timing is so important to all that stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And to figure, I'm a younger guy, so I wasn't around when the original run aired on Nickelodeon, but I actually first saw your version of the show before, the Jason Harris revamp in 2000. And obviously, I was very excited to see that Double Dare came back in 2018, and a couple of my friends worked on the show. Stott St. Fleur, good guy,
best,
and Lee Eck, great guy,
great guys.
Yeah. So Lee, Stott, if you're watching, you're welcome.
Yeah, no, those guys are very, very talented, and Lee's doing really well out here. And Stott was one of our stunt guys, and he's he wants to be a host, and hopefully that'll happen someday. It's just so much harder now than when I started. To get on TV these days, you have to be famous first, and ability has nothing to do with it. It's was he in a movie kind of thing. It's
exactly, yeah. I mean, so he's got I'm plugging his streaming game show right now. It's a very fun trivia show. It completely rattles your brain, and you can win like an Amazon Fire Stick because of it.
Nice.
So and also, because of the impact of Double Dare, the show gets syndicated. You get a run on Fox, and then you get syndicated all across the country. And this thought never came to my head until recently. Was Double Dare actually like nominated for like a Kids' Choice Award?
They didn't have Kids' Choice Awards back then.
Oh, they didn't. Oh, that's right.
And then I think when we first started, I was involved with the early Kids' Choice Awards. I don't know if we were even allowed to nominate, or I don't even remember. It was so long ago. But we won a Cable Ace Awards, which don't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
But we were not allowed to be Emmy nominated back then because we were cable, and there was all that controversy and anger towards cable. So it was a different time. And by the way, awards mean nothing. You can't eat rewards, and it's all silly.
That's true. Yes.
The fact that they have the Broadcasting Hall of Fame, and the fact that they have the Radio Hall of Fame. Some of the people in those things don't belong, and some people who should be in there aren't. So I didn't get in this business to win trophies.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got in there to have a good time and to get paid.
Yeah. Well, and it was a passion of mine, still is.
Speaking about, getting your start in television, especially game shows, I heard that you started with Truth or Consequences, Bob Barker.
My very first job, I was an idea man. They paid me $300 a week to come up with ideas for Truth or Consequences. It was kind of on its last leg, started in radio, been on TV for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who ran the thing were all 108. They had started in radio, they had aged, and they wanted young people to get involved. Well, I was hired to be an idea man, and they weren't listening to a damn thing I said. And they pulled me into a room one day. Ed Bailey, who was exec producer at the time, and his daughter, Brooke Bailey Johnson, ended up being my boss at Food Network for many years. But Ed said, Mark, you got to be more creative. You got to be, hipper, younger. So come up with something. And so I came in the next week, and this was a stunt. And if you don't know Truth or Consequences, this doesn't mean anything. But
no, I know Truth or Consequences. Yes.
But I put chicken parts in a big vat, legs, thighs, breast, and I gave two people needle and thread, and the person who sewed the most chickens back together at the end of the half hour won, and I got fired for that. So it's a great story now, but at the time, it was rather depressing. I was in the middle of getting my career started, and I was doing warm-ups on Joker's Wild, and I was doing the idea thing on Truth or Consequences. And it was my first sort of major disappointment, the first of many in the entertainment business.
Yeah, and then of course, 13 years later or so, you get the gig of a lifetime, giving kids a trip to space camp and dumping baked beans on them.
There you go.
Actually, I'm a fan of game shows, so I know actually a lot of the more obscure stuff. A couple of my favorites you did: Wintuition, Majority Rules. I mean, these are some that didn't even last a full year, and yet I enjoyed them. Well, then again, I'm not the one who makes the decision. It's the executives. So yeah. And I figure now with the surge of game shows coming around the last few years, you're seeing a lot of the old classic stuff on like ABC. So I'm surprised you were never like tapped for one of those reboots. I mean, I could totally see you hosting like To Tell the Truth. I could see you hosting the new Card Sharks run. So
once again, not famous enough.
That's true.
You've got to be a movie star or have a major motion or a major TV show or whatever. And I was just host boy, and they don't want people who can actually do it anymore.
Of course not. Yeah.
They don't want hosts. They want So it's a different industry, and I've had a great time, and I have no complaints. But could I go in and host all of those shows with two hands tied behind my back? Yes, but I won't get the opportunity in such a life.
I mean, if there was a game show besides Double Dare you could have hosted, what would it be?
Oh, Price. Obviously, Price is Right.
Yeah.
And that's a whole long story, but I did it live for many years when they toured it. But, that was a whole other situation. Neil Patrick Harris called Les Moonves and said, you should hire Marc Summers. What Bob Barker is to this generation, Mark is to us. And Les Moonves said, quote, I have no idea who Marc Summers is, and I just hired another guy. So,
And I remember you made the candid comment, like, he still doesn't know what he's doing.
He doesn't have a clue. All he knows is he repeats what Barker says at the end about spared animals.
Yes,
and to him. I mean, give me a break.
I could host this show, for crying out loud. and I'm only 24, so that's what it is. Going back to the 2018 revival, I thought it was just a match made in heaven. You and Liza Koshy got along so well. You two clicked. And
instantaneously, by the way, from the first day I met her.
Yeah. And she's only just a couple of months older than I am. And the fact of the matter is, today's generation could relate with her. And of course, the generation before could relate with you. So it was a perfect balance. And
it was fun. It was fun. And the ratings were really good. But once again, management changed. The people who brought us there all got fired the week we were shooting. They brought in other people, and it's the old thing in television. If I didn't put it on, then it sucks. So they took it off, and it's too bad because the ratings we got are still higher than anything they're getting over there now.
So I know you said that you're finished with Double Dare and everything, but would you want to see it come back on like a Hulu or a Netflix sort of thing?
Depends on how it came back. It should come back as an adult show. It should come back as an 11 o'clock at night adult show.
Yeah.
All people grew up to it. We could have a hell of a lot of fun. But once again, the odds of that are slim and none.
Yeah. And was there ever a pair of contestants or a family that you just wanted to win so badly?
Many. It was always fun to see. I always wanted everybody to win. Then it's not a really good show. The budget says 2 out of 5 days you want people going all the way. Sometimes we'd have no winners for 3 weeks, and sometimes we'd have 4 winners in a week. You couldn't predict it. Mm-hmm. And unlike fake reality TV where they fix everything, we played it for real. And sometimes when we couldn't get a win, we'd try to make the obstacle course super easy, and they still couldn't do it. And sometimes we were over budget, and we tried to make it super hard, and they still did it. So you never knew how coordinated and the one-on-one was with the contestants. So every day was a challenge.
Oh yeah, because there was one instance where I remember. I'll put this clip in post-production. There was a time where a family was literally at the last moment. I think somebody was going through the kid wash. They dove through it, and when the clock struck 0, they grabbed the flag. And I never heard your voice as high as it ever went.
I know which one you're talking about. I went, oh,
unbelievable! We'll play the clip for you.
I think we can do this, folks, if we move a little quicker. Come on, hourglass is number 7 with 12 seconds remaining. Couldn't be more exciting than this. Grab that flag with 7 seconds. All right, grab it. Pass it on to Wilbur. We have 4 seconds. Come on, Wilbur. 3. They did it! Way to go! Unbelievable! I cannot believe it. That was the best dive I've ever seen.
Yeah. I remember that one. We would go back and look at these things sometimes when they pull it, and did they get it before the clock hit 00, and other ones where they had it in their hands and then it just slipped through. So, but that's what makes good TV. That's why the show was so good.
Oh yeah. And now with the help of Paramount Plus, you now can basically watch the first couple of years of Double Dare and the first season of the latest version.
Yep.
So I was spending all day yesterday just doing more research on how to do this damn interview by watching 250 episodes of the original run.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's neat that they're running those, and they're doing really well because tons of folks want to go back and relive that stuff.
Oh yeah, and going back and looking how simple the show was, and then just looking how evolved the show became as it grew. So you move from Philly, you move. What was the station's call letters again? I keep
It was
forgetting.
WHYY. We started at Philly, did some, moved to New York, and did Super Sloppies. Moved back to Philly to a bigger stage, and then down to Orlando to the Nick Studios. Before Universal even opened, we were in the middle of a giant mud pit, but we would bus kids in from the area and do double dares.
And then they would win a trip back to Universal Studios.
Yeah, that was a licensing deal that was so stupid. Yeah, and you win a trip to Universal.
You're coming back.
Used to get so angry.
It's like, if I were to get on like Price is Right and I win a trip to New York, I can literally take the Long Island Expressway and I'm already there in an hour. So I mean, I worked there for a few months. I worked in radio for a few months over there. But that's what it is. So now I want to shift gears a bit and talk about your latest adventures with the Food Network. And you've done actually quite a bit of shows recently. Are you still doing Restaurant Impossible? Is that still running?
I'm just consulting now. Those days of going out on the road every day and going to restaurants and doing that stuff. I did that for many years. We were based out of Philly. We toured it like crazy around the country. So I just consult on restaurants. My son has actually been consulting on Dinner Impossible. He was there from day one when we started that. And so I have a small fingerprint or thumbprint in that. But, Robert knows what he's doing, and the production team with Brian Lando kicks ass, and they know what they're doing. So they really don't need me. It's kind of mailbox money. The checks come, and every now and then the phone will ring and say, what do you think about that? But I don't have too much day-to-day, to do with it anymore.
Yeah. What other shows have you worked on with the Food Network? I know Unwrapped was the biggest one.
Well, I started with a show called It's a Surprise. The surprise was nobody was watching, and it went off quickly. And that became Unwrapped, and Unwrapped, one of the longest running successful shows, which you can also see on Discovery Plus. It trends also every night. I did a show called Feuds, and more specials than I can begin to tell you. But it's been a 20-year relationship, and maybe the best job I've ever had. I mean, Double Dare got me started in the limelight, but Food Network was so enjoyable. It's just the friendships, the relationships, the things that I've been able to do because of the association, and treated like a king over there. So management's been great, and it's just been a great experience.
Yeah. And actually I read in another interview one time that the same person who fired you got you into the Food Network.
Yeah. Judy Gerard was my boss at Lifetime when I was hosting Biggers and Summers, and she fired us, canceled the show, and then was the woman who brought me back to Food Network, and just got me back in the door, which is all I wanted. And that's when we did It's a Surprise, which became the other. So if I could give advice to anybody out there trying to get a job either in television or any other business, don't burn bridges, because you never know when you're going to need those people.
Yeah, that's true.
Judy and I are still friends to this day.
Unless your colleague is Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, right. Good luck.
Yeah. Whew. Now, Unwrapped was like one of the easier shows, in my opinion, to produce, because really all you just really had to do was take a couple of live shots, and then the rest was voiceover for you.
Actually, it was more difficult than that.
Oh, really?
We did the opens and closes. We would shoot like six a day, but it was more than that with setups and walk and talks. And we initially did it in Denver, and then we moved it to Pueblo, Colorado, and then back to Denver. And then the last 2 or 3 years, we took it out on the road. So it was a lot more time consuming. Yeah, tons of voiceovers as well. But the opens and closes, believe it or not, were more difficult than they look.
Wow. Was there a particular episode or any sort of sequence of episodes that you really enjoyed? Because I know you're a pizza guy.
Yeah, pizza is my favorite food in the whole world. No, I mean, they were all fun to do. Keep in mind that I was told what the segments were coming up when I did the opens But a lot of it wasn't even shot yet. So I never saw the full product until I watched it on television.
Wow.
So the whole thing about getting myself into whatever that was and convincing the people that they should stay tuned is a bit of an art. It's more than reading a teleprompter. It's selling itself and selling the concept. And, with all the hundreds of episodes we did, obviously we did a good job. And so I've had a charmed existence. I've done shows that moms and dads and kids could sit and watch together. Never really been ashamed of anything I've done. And it's been kind of a charmed career.
Oh yeah. And you've been around since I was little. So, the
How old are you?
testament, 24,
What year were you born?
96.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty funny.
Now, actually, one of my favorite spin-offs of Unwrapped was Trivia Unwrapped.
Yeah.
You did a bunch of those when the DVD came out like 12, 13 years ago. There were 3 episodes. I would watch those on repeat every single night. Just, I may have known all the answers right away, but it was just so fun to watch because you don't really see stuff like that anymore. Tried and true trivia game shows. And then
the games have never worked on Food Network. And, back in the day, I was Guy Fieri before Guy Fieri. It was 90 minutes every Monday night of Marc Summers, an hour of Unwrapped, and then 30 minutes of Trivia Unwrapped. And as I told the boss at the time, I don't want to watch 90 minutes of anybody, especially me. And it proved true, simply because the hour of Unwrapped was good, but another 30 minutes of the Trivia Unwrapped, it just didn't work. And so we were on for a few weeks, and it was just destroying the Monday night ratings. So they moved us to, when they move you to 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Disaster. So we did a lot of them, though. I think we did 90 of them or something, but
Wow.
Most of them ran very early in the morning. And God knows if they still exist anywhere in the Food Network library. It's funny. I checked the Discovery Plus thing to see if they were on, but they're not.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just threw them away or kind of like wiped them like what NBC did with their old tapes.
I know Steve Allen in the early Tonight shows.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Although, a few episodes have popped up, online. There was actually one instance where it's a kind of a bittersweet sort of thing because one of the contestants passed away, but they uploaded his entire episode. See, and now my dog's going crazy because he wants to watch Trivia Unwrapped.
Yeah, I've never looked online to see if they even have Trivia Unwrapped anywhere on the web. Does it show up if you Google it?
There are a few episodes. I've seen 3 episodes, and one of them is labeled "Remembering the Greatest Brother Ever." So that's a bit of a bittersweet one, but there are a couple of archived ones besides the ones on DVD. So maybe I'll get to watching those soon when we're done here. So you still recognize as the guy of Double Dare. So I've seen many iterations. Dungle Dare, the one you did at Comic-Con in 16, the one that kind of sparked everything for the new revival. And of course I went to see the Double Dare live show in Rochester while I was recovering from bronchitis. I trekked because I was going to school just north of Syracuse, and I was like, okay, I might be sick, but I have to come and see you.
Yeah, Rochester was a fun date. I remember that one. We had a good crowd that night.
Yeah, it was really, really fun. The theater was just amazing.
Gorgeous, right?
Yeah, I was actually supposed to see actually as a going away, so graduation sort of gift for myself. I was supposed to see you guys at the Dome at Syracuse, but that show never happened. But things happen.
Yep.
And now I've been noticing that, looking on recent interviews you did a few years ago, you kind of had a little bit of a rough patch in the 2010s. First your cancer diagnosis, and then of course the car accident. There's one dare, there's a double dare, and then what's the triple dare?
Yeah, hopefully we didn't get there,
Yeah. So thankfully you're doing very well. I can see that. And now you're on Cameo. You're doing cameos for people.
Yeah, that was out of boredom. I turned them down like 3 or 4 times, and they said, people really want to do this. And I said, really? Does anybody really care? And yeah, I mean, there were some nights where I would do, believe it or not, like 15 of them. And it's kind of fun to, you don't get to interact one-on-one like this with your fans, but the nice comments that you get after you do one of those is fun. But, it's just something to do during COVID. I'm not sure I'm going to be doing it much longer, quite honestly.
Yeah. I mean, because you see all these people that are on right now. I'm seeing Gabby Douglas, Vanilla Ice, Fran Drescher is now on, Alfonso Ribeiro. I mean, so there's just a endless amount of options, but I would gladly pay for a cameo from you.
Well, that's very kind. I just raised my price, so don't speak too soon.
Yeah, well, I got a stimulus check recently, so I don't know.
Hey, good for you.
So, shifting back to Double Dare, as a kid, I always wanted to get slimed. That's the one thing I hated about living in New York, because everything was either in Los Angeles or Orlando, Florida. So I couldn't go to like a Kids' Choice Award, or I couldn't go to Universal Studios. I went to the other theme park, the one that starts with a D. But it took a moment. So what was in the green googly slime back then? Because I know it's different now.
Yeah, it's totally different now. We had a base of vanilla pudding. It was applesauce and green food coloring, basically a little oatmeal thrown in. But now it's this technical, when we were doing the new Double Dares, we literally spent a day, testing the viscosity of the new slime. And when we were being attacked by the insurance people when we first started, they had to make sure that it got in the kid's mouth, it was edible. So I'm assuming the stuff today is edible, but I kind of like the old school stuff more than the stuff we used on the more recent shows.
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean,
and it smelled better, by the way.
Yes, because I mean, who the hell wants to smell like glue? Because that's what I imagine it smelling like. It's smelling like glue.
It's not all that silly stuff that you see on line about making your own slime. I don't know what that stuff is.
That's not
There's
slime.
No
that's
glue and slime. Trust me.
It's like, that's not even. I wouldn't even call it slime. I wouldn't call it. It's a slime-like substance. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, so you can't say Jello or milk-like substance, Jello-like substance. So slime-like substance. But yeah,
such a running joke.
So you really could say Jello, but.
No. We ad sales had gone to General Foods and tried to make a deal, and they wouldn't do it. So I was told you can't say Jello anymore. So just to piss off ad sales, I would say a Jello-like substance. So and the milk thing was because people got upset because they thought we were wasting food and people were starving and all that silliness. So we lied and said it was a milk-like substance. We were using milk,
Oh yeah.
The one that used to piss off people the most was eggs. When we would we'd get hate mail left and right. So Mike Klinghoff, our exec producer, came up with the milk-like substance and all those substitute things that we did.
And my buddy Nick has like one of those online usernames. His username is milk-like substance. So Nick, that's fun. For you.
I love that.
And I obviously I never got the chance to come up on stage and do the thing at the live tour, but if I were to get picked, I mean, it would have been fine, but I just love seeing the kids, just having the time of their lives and just reminiscing what it was like. And then at the end of the day, it was like, I like that guy. Well,
the energy in those theaters, as you saw, was unbelievable. It was just so cool to have everybody yelling and screaming and on their feet, especially at the obstacle course, because it always came down to the last obstacle and a few seconds left. And, there's not a lot of family entertainment shows out there. And it was a good chance for, families to get together and do that stuff and hope to get on stage. We put somewhere around 80 people a night on stage, which is not bad. Now when you're playing a 5,000 seater, 80 isn't that great, but, you do what you can.
Oh yeah. I mean, and I spent some time talking to some of the parents and their children, because, I kind of wanted to do a story on this at my college newspaper. And the parents were like, yeah, we're here for Mark. We're here, to celebrate what we did. And I remember, I think there was like a group of college kids that showed up, like a frat house or whatever. And they never got called up.
That all the time. I always wanted to do Double Dare live for fraternities and sororities, but Nickelodeon wouldn't let us.
That
would have been amazing.
Not. Well, now does Nickelodeon like still own the rights to Double Dare?
They do. And, but I take, shall we say, similar shows out on my own. We would do a thing in Philly, I haven't done it in a few years, called Dunkle Dare. And it was
Dunkle Dare, that's right.
With drunk people. And we had a ball doing that.
Yeah.
So every now and then I'll sneak one.
Oh, yeah. That's where the infamous "shut the f*** up" line came up.
There you go.
I'll bleep that out, by the way.
Steve.
Because I think it would have been great, just do a college, like whenever there was like a bar crawl or something, have like a just an obstacle course for drunk kids to go on, and then when they try to like pick the nose, instead of slime, it shoots out tequila.
Yeah, the way that shut the up happened was I had told the audience, please don't shut out any answers. Whatever you do, please. I know you know the answers, but don't shut them out.
And they kept
I asked
doing
the
it.
very first question, and the guy shouted the answer, and that's why I said that. You can't play that enough,
Yeah, you can't say that on television.
Yeah, believe me.
Oh man, I could literally just talk days and days about, just reminiscing what it was like to be an early 90s kid, just sitting at home right before dinner, maybe doing homework, just watching kids run through just try to tackle a slide with chocolate syrup and going through one ear covered in peanut butter or whatever, just to seeing the joy on kids' faces. Because nowadays you really don't get that. And there really is no on.
Well, kids don't watch television.
No, that's the
kids
sad
watch
thing.
their phones and their iPads and their computers, and so there's no appointment TV for kids anymore. It's not like I got to turn on Double Dare at 5:30. There are no shows on a regular basis.
No.
Because of demand, you can watch many.
Yeah, I mean they can try, but nothing will ever come close to what Double Dare was.
Probably not. Not in my lifetime.
Anyway. Who knows? Maybe if Double Dare 4.0 would come out and I'd be tapped as the master of mess. I don't know. Marc Summers, thank you so much for taking your time and talking with us today. I'm sure a lot of 90s kids are squealing with delight knowing that, I told my friends that, hey, I'm interviewing Marc Summers. And they're like, "What? You gotta be kidding me! You gotta say hi!" I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like they're jumping up and down like biblical locusts. It's crazy.
Biblical locusts. Hey, thanks very much. Nice job. Thanks for doing your homework and continued success.
Thanks so much, Mark. And tune in next week. We'll have another exciting episode. See you then.